Get those reactions ready. The show is about to begin.
Yes. Runner goes. That one's driven to right field and deep. There it goes. See ya. His 4th home run of the spring.
Today is Saturday, March 11th, and we are just 19 days from baseball that counts. Today, we've got the Phillies versus the Yankees in Tampa. We got Judge in the lineup. We got Volpe in the lineup, and we got the Martian in the lineup. We've also got my recap and your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. We are at that point in spring training where you're just kind of hanging on for dear life and hoping nobody else gets hurt over the next 19 days. Pretty run-of-the-mill spring training game today. The Yankees got beat 6-3, but we do have a few things to talk about. We got some more noise from the Martian. Kid's unbelievable. We got to see Giancarlo perhaps rounding into form a little bit, but first we got to get to the pitching. So we didn't have a live stream since Carlos Rodon got hurt, or Harrison Bader for that matter, but he's probably going to miss, realistically 2 or 3 starts at very minimum. So we need one of the guys who's on the bubble, like Domingo German, to step up and pitch well. And it's funny the way that spring training broadcasting has kind of lined up with Domingo German starts. This is the 3rd time this spring that we've seen German pitch, and his stuff has looked pretty good this spring. I mean, it's about on par with what he usually does in the spring. He looks sharp. Curveball wasn't quite as good today. He had a pretty good first inning, ran into some trouble in the second, and then left the game after a strikeout in the third. The curveball is his best pitch, but he was kind of hanging it a little bit today. That's not that uncommon for spring. A lot of times right around now is when pitchers start to get that first dead arm period, and that can kind of slow you down a little bit, which cuts back on the spin and causes some of those breaking balls to hang, causes you to miss with your location a lot. We saw that from both pitchers, both teams really today, all their pitchers. A lot of guys were wild, just not right. But, overall, I thought German did just fine. So Anthony Volpe was in there at shortstop today. I thought he worked a really good at bat in the first inning. He took some close pitches. He's shown more patience lately, fouled off some tough cutters, ultimately drew the walk. He got hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning, nothing serious, another breaking ball, got him on the back foot. And I got to say, he looks great on the bases. I like what David Cohn said. He brought up a point. I don't think he mentioned it during the game today, but he mentioned it on the Towing the Slab podcast, where, Volpe, if you hit him in front of Judge, he's going to be a distraction on the bases. And one of 2 things are going to happen. They're either going to have to pay attention to Volpe and keep him from swiping bags, and that might force you to make a mistake to Judge, or you're going to have to really focus on Judge and just let Volpe run, essentially. With the pitch clock rules, he's one of those guys that's just going to create havoc and take advantage of everything. So I really think that dynamic of him hitting in front of Judge, gives the Yankees a good leadoff hitter. The question is, can he get on base enough? And at this point, from what we've seen in spring, I really think he could. I didn't think he would break camp with the Yankees, but I'm starting to believe more and more every day that Volpe, even though he didn't do much today offensively, he looked good again, and he looked good at shortstop. Arm is stronger than I thought. Made a couple of nice throws to first on double play balls. Didn't get one of them, but it was more because the ball was hit slow and the second baseman kind of double clutched. But, I thought he's done everything right so far this spring. So round of applause for Mr. Anthony Volpe. So let's talk about Jasson Dominguez a little bit. he was in there. He was playing center field. He was batting sixth. And Boone pretty much confirmed earlier in the game before he went deep that he's going to begin the season in the minor leagues, that, he's definitely made an impression. But the kid just keeps raking. Third at bat today, and he sent one back to the mothership.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
That's his fourth home run of spring training. It was another no-doubter, 107 miles per hour off the bat. And look, the ball really does sound different coming off of his bat. He's just got a very quick swing, and when he connects, it's very flush. It sounds a lot like Giancarlo Stanton, the way the ball sounds when he makes contact. Shout out to Jerry Baseball 27 for calling it before the game. Got to give him props. Look, you won't find a bigger Martian fanboy than me. I believe in this kid. And it's not just about the home runs. It's the balance at the plate. You watch guys like Gleyber Torres, they're falling off balance all the time at the plate. Martian has a very sturdy base. Even when he doesn't connect, he has a good swing through the ball. He takes close pitches, lays off of pitchers' pitches like on the outside corner. And yes, the 400-foot home runs on a daily basis are difficult to ignore. And look, I know it's spring and stats don't matter or whatever, but nobody else is raking the way this kid is raking. Nobody. And it's still baseball. You've still got to perform. You've still got to make contact against a professional pitcher and hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's not easy to do. It's very, very impressive. And he's, doing this at an age where he would be a college sophomore. There's a story that Michael Kay tells all the time about how you got to do special things to get a special nickname like Godzilla, right? I think the Martian's just one of these guys. He's just going to be special. And the Yankees are going to keep telling you that he's too young and that he needs more time in the minor leagues. And maybe that's true. But it's not unprecedented for a 20-year-old to force his way into the discussion. It's not unprecedented. And he looks damn good to me. In my opinion, his timeline has been vastly accelerated by this spring. Wouldn't shock me if by midsummer, Yankees have a couple of injuries and they need a spark. They decide to call it the Martian. And no, he probably won't make the team out of spring. I don't care if he hits 3 or 4 more home runs. But one thing he has done is he's elevated his standing as a prospect with Yankees fans, with scouts around the league. And there's not many people saying that they should trade him straight up for Brian Reynolds anymore. So, in fact, I've enjoyed his spring so much that I asked ChatGPT, because this is spring training and we just do fun things. I asked ChatGPT to write a poem about the Martian. Here you go.
Listen up, baseball fans, and hear the tale of the Martian man. He's got the power to hit it far. He's got the speed of a shooting star. They say that Mars is his domain. Paranormal skills you can't explain. Start him in center. How hard can it be? And let the Martian lead us to victory.
Oh, gotta love ChatGPT. Highlight says Guerrero Jr. was 20. Absolutely correct. 100% correct. Guys break through at 20 all the time. Trout really had his big year at 20. I think Bryce Harper was an MVP at 20 or 21. He was at least in the major leagues by 19. Juan Soto was excellent. Really at 19, even better at age 20. So I'm just loving what I'm seeing from the kid. I believe the hype. I really do. And people ask me why, why have I been on the Martian train so hardcore for so long? And it has nothing to do with those backfield videos of him hitting balls on a pasture from when he was 16 and when he was signed. It has everything to do with what the scouts said. If you hear enough scouts say he's the best they've ever seen, not he's great, not I think he has potential to be a star, not his tools are fantastic. They're saying, these are lifelong scouts saying best I've ever seen. That is something. So once I started hearing that, and I see the Yankees empty out their entire bonus pool for the kid, $5.1 million. Knowing how much the Yankees really like to spread that money around for international talent because they don't get very many good draft picks. The fact that they were able to ante up and get Dominguez, it made me a believer, and I still believe to this day. So the other day, someone commented that we're not talking enough about Willie Calhoun. I agree. We're going to have to talk more about him now that he's got a real shot to take over in center for Bader, with Bader being out with the oblique injury. He was in the lineup today. He went 0 for. He walked in his first at bat. I think he's got pretty solid strike zone command. He's a shorter guy, so he doesn't have a very big strike zone, so that makes it even more difficult on the pitcher. Left-handed bat. He's shown a little bit of pop. Look, I'm hopeful. Right now, he doesn't jump off the screen the way somebody like Dominguez does, or even Volpe. But I'm hopeful that he can be slightly better than a replacement level, at least until you can get, a better option out there. But look, we'll talk about him. Once he starts doing more damage, I think he'll get more attention. He was good early in the spring, but now that the pitchers are rounding into shape a little bit, he's kind of slowed down a little bit. Giancarlo had been off to a slow start as well, but he smoked a couple of rockets this afternoon. He looked fantastic. Ripped a line drive down the left field line for a double in the first inning, and then he smoked a single off the left field wall in the bottom of the third. I've heard from a couple of people that are hanging around the team. I text with a few of them that are kind of around the team every day, and they say a lot of people believe in Giancarlo this year. Something clicked apparently last year where he's able to play through some of these minor injuries, and they think he's going to be on the field more. So we will see. But the Yankees lose this one 6-3.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Frankie says Derek's got sources. I mean, I know a couple of scouts. I know a couple of coaches. I don't talk to Aaron Boone. I'm not talking to Brian Cashman, but a couple of reporters that I've talked to are, I text back and forth with, and they tell me that, hey, look, there's kind of a buzz that Giancarlo's in great shape. He's always in great shape, but, they think that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to have a big year. Brett Deutsch says, every other team in baseball has no issue bringing up a 19 to 21-year-old, but our front office is stuck in the 90s. That's a fair point. It really is a fair point. I really think that the Yankees tend to be overly cautious with their young players because New York can break a young man. You look at what happened with the Mets in the 80s. Strawberry and Gooden, they came up and they set the world on fire at a young age. But unfortunately, they got mixed up with the wrong elements. I think if you do bring up somebody like Dominguez or Volpe at a young age, you've got to set an example of, this is where having Aaron Judge as a captain comes in. How to perform off the field, right? How to treat reporters that are going to be ambushing you everywhere. How to interact with fans. What elements to avoid. There's certainly plenty of elements in the city that you need to avoid. So there's a lot more than just the on-the-field talent. And this is a kid who apparently, according to everything I've read, is just as good a kid as it gets. I mean, he's apparently very smart. He's very well-spoken, very, polite, very measured in his actions. Look, the only thing I've ever seen out of Dominguez that caused me pause, there's two things. There was one where somebody said he wasn't hustling in the fall league, where he was kind of lackadaisical or whatever. But everything that I've seen from him in person, or on TV rather, is that he hustles every time, right? And the other thing that I saw was that he struggled from the right side of the plate. But if you look at the numbers, he's gotten a lot better from the right side of the plate, and his first at bat this spring was a home run from the right side of the plate, and it was a bomb too. So look, I really believe in the kid. Apparently he's just a great human being to go along with a great ball player. THG says, are you concerned that Peraza isn't really inserting himself into the starting shortstop conversation by his play thus far this spring? I was just looking at his numbers because he played in the other game. This was a split squad doubleheader today. So the first game was done in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yankees lost 3-0. But Peraza was 0 for. He did swipe a bag, though. I think he got on base, maybe a walk or an error, but he was 0 for no hits, hitting 200 on the spring. Now, Volpe, from everything you've heard, is probably going to start in AAA just because he didn't play there much last year. But he's clearly outperforming Peraza. And what Michael Kay said the other day on his radio show is that Volpe has a real chance, whether it's just because of his play or because, Peraza hasn't looked great. Volpe's got a real chance to break camp with the Yankees, and if he does, they're going to play him every day. And, considering he hasn't really played many other places, you got to think that shortstop would be the spot for him. Now, with a tough spring from Peraza, does that mean he goes down to AAA and works on third base or second base? Maybe. It's worth taking a look at. But I think that what he showed us last year during the regular season, where I think he hit over 300 in a small sample size, showed a little bit of power. We know the speed is there. He's used to the pitch clock and taking advantage of pitchers. Look, I think his talent translates to the major leagues. I really believe they could both be in the lineup. And the way I would go is with, Donaldson's ass getting DFA'd. DJ becomes your roving guy, right? Like they want him to be, filling in a couple of times a week, first base, second base, third base. And then your left side of the infield is some combination of Volpe and Peraza. One of them at short, one of them at third base. I haven't seen much of Volpe at third base, but we've seen Peraza play third base a number of times. I think he looks pretty good over there. He looked comfortable. I saw Volpe at second base the other day, and he looked great. Problem is you got Gleyber Torres, and I don't think the Yankees want to trade Gleyber Torres just yet. I'm not saying they won't trade him, but with guys going down with injuries, it's hard to take 25 home runs potentially out of that lineup. So, look, the Yankees have some decisions to make, and some of these young guys are making it hard on them. I really think that our top three prospects, Volpe, Dominguez, and Peraza, are all going to be hits for this front office. I really think so. MP said kid checks all the boxes.
That is correct.
Frankie says, why do split squad games exist? Couple of reasons. One, you got so many players in a baseball organization. They all need games, right? But you got to get the pitchers work. You got to spread out the different pitchers. You got to get looks at different guys. And there's just too many players for you to really just have one game on a lot of days. You got to split up so that way you can keep guys on schedule. It's something they've been doing forever. I don't particularly love it, because I would have loved to watch Peraza today, but I'm not going to skip the Martian. I'm not going to skip Volpe. So you have to sacrifice and just kind of choose the game, with the more prospects or the more regulars that you want to watch. So it is what it is. That's just baseball. Some things never change. MP says, tell Michael K. we're still waiting for the big news. And Brett Deutsch says Dominguez hitting .421 with a 1,500 OPS in spring.
Absolutely. Hey.
Sean Browning says Cabrera, a super utility guy. One thing about Cabrera that he has over the other guys is his ability to play the outfield. He's looked great in right field in the past since he's come up. And he looked good in center field the other day when they put him out there. It was the day that Bader came out after maybe the fourth or fifth inning. And one of the first plays was a line drive to center field, and Cabrera made a great snag. Now, with Bader being out, I think that opens up center field possibly for Hicks, unfortunately, to slide back in there. And then you can get Oswaldo into the lineup every day as your left fielder. And then, Florial was 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts today across town. I think Florial, unfortunately, going to get DFA'd. And I think that one of Calhoun or Ortega is going to make the team. My pick right now would be Calhoun. I think Calhoun has, he's swung the bat a little bit better, but he's seen better pitches, right? He's had better at-bats. He's controlled the strike zone a little bit more. And that's something that the Yankees really, really value a lot. One Talleyrand agrees that they're going to be hits.
Alrighty then.
Let's see here. Andrew Calabria says, Dominguez with 54 home runs his rookie year. That would break the record. Alonso hit 53 his rookie year. I would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Brett says, Judge in center field, get Giancarlo Stanton, some games in right field, and Cabrera in left field. That allows you to DH Gleyber Torres and to get both Volpe and Peraza in the lineup and also have DJ in there at third base. So there's a lot of ways that the Yankees could go.
Game over, man. It's game over. I gotta get out of here.
Super chat from B-Horn says, seems like even if Peraza doesn't impress offensively, still a very good defensive shortstop and a high-quality base runner. I agree. 100% agree.
Absolutely. Hey.
Look, he's going to be a good player. The conundrum that the Yankees have gotten themselves into is they have a log jam in the infield. And that's just how it goes sometimes. And in the outfield, you got Judge locked up. You're supposed to have Bader as your center fielder, but really you got two outfield spots up for grabs, and that's just the truth of it. I know a lot of us would love to see Dominguez. I still think he's going to head to the minor leagues for a little bit, but one thing is for sure, the future is very, very bright for the Martian. That is it for me. I was supposed to do a recording of the Designated Spitters today in studio, but Pete, unfortunately, sick, so we're going to do it next weekend. So I'll be back at some point if news happens or with a post game at some point over the next week, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. If you've made it this far, we thank you. If you'd like to support NYY Recaps, please like and subscribe or pay a visit to our Shopify store for some great Yankees merch.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, just visit NYYRecaps.shop. If you really want to support NYY Recaps and help keep the show going year after year, join up as a member. It's $5, and members get their names up in lights during each post-game show. We're also on all podcast platforms, Instagram, and Twitch this year. So give us a follow if you use any of those platforms. We're expanding, and we have you to thank for making this such a great community. We'll see you next time.
It is your destiny.
Case closed.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.